The irony is just too great with this one. Remember that big fuck you to fans that EA's chief design officer Patrick Soderlund gave a month or so back during an interview? Saying, quote, "On the women in Battlefield, this is something that the development team pushed. Battlefield 5 is a lot about the unseen, the untold, the unplayed. The common perception is that there were no women in World War II. I don't think anyone's really trying to claim that, but continue on. There were a ton of women who both fought in World War II and partook in the war." Okay, that's pushing it a little bit. "And we felt like in today's world, I have a 13-year-old daughter, that when the trailer came out and she saw all the flags, she asked me, 'Dad, why is this happening?' And she plays Fortnite and says, 'I can be a girl in Fortnite. Why are people so upset about this?' She looked at me and she couldn't understand it." And I'm like, okay, as a parent, how the hell am I going to respond to this? And I just said, you know what? You're right. This is not okay. These people who are uneducated, they don't understand that this is a plausible scenario, and listen, this is a game. And today gaming is gender diverse like it hasn't been before. There are a lot of female people who want to play and male players who want to play as a badass woman. And we don't take any flack. Well, the like to dislike ratio on your reveal trailer would beg to differ. We stand up for the cause. How noble of you, Patrick. Because I think those people who don't understand it, well, you have two choices. Either accept it or don't buy the game. I'm fine with either or. This is just not okay. Calling your fanbase uneducated and flat out telling them not to buy the game sounds like a great marketing strategy if I do say so myself. What better way to sell your game than to issue an ultimatum rather than listening to the feedback, which is obviously what the majority of gamers want. Don't like it, don't buy it. That is exactly what our friend Patrick wants us to do. Well, it looks like Patrick Soderlund is going to get his wish, and gamers heard the message loud and clear, because Battlefield 5 is not setting the world on fire, and people are not going out and pre-ordering the game just like he told them not to. I guess a lot of people don't accept it. Battlefield 5 is currently experiencing, quote, weak pre-order numbers, according to a recent report from Sarah Needleman of the Wall Street Journal based on research from Cohen, a market analyst group. This is what Sarah had to say. Electronic Arts' chief design officer is leaving just 2 months before the launch of a new installment of one of its biggest franchises, Battlefield. Patrick Soderlund had been with EA for nearly 20 years and worked out of its DICE studio in Stockholm that makes the war-themed video game series. Earlier this month, Cohen said that pre-order sales of Battlefield 5 have been weak. It's due for release in between Activision Blizzard's next Call of Duty game and Take-Two Interactive Software's Red Dead Redemption sequel, both of which Cohen says are showing greater pre-order demand. Cohen says Battlefield could suffer the same fate as EA's Titanfall 2, which was released in between two major game launches in 2016 and sold poorly. Keep in mind that this news comes literally a day after it was announced by Andrew Wilson, EA's CEO, that Patrick Soderlund would be, quote, moving on from EA and will be stepping down from his executive role in the coming months. To say that there is some correlation between these two events is something almost anyone who's informed could most likely deduce. In the letter from Andrew Wilson announcing Soderlund's departure from EA, he credits Patrick as being a, quote, agent of change and transformation. This sounds like Patrick was behind most of the controversial changes at EA with their games. He was literally in charge of the games from a design standpoint, especially on the side of development that involved the different monetization options, such as loot boxes and microtransactions. There is no doubt that given his role at EA, he played a crucial role in the epitome of microtransactions and loot boxes taken to the extreme, Battlefront 2. It could even be that his departure could be in part thanks to that financial catastrophe. Now add in the disappointing pre-order numbers of Battlefield 5, one of EA's largest and most profitable franchises, a game that Patrick publicly issued an ultimatum to gamers on, basically telling them not to buy the game. The timing is everything in this situation, and it could be that the board of EA sees him as more of a liability at this point rather than an asset to the company. Technically, this is his second big fuck up in the last 12 months, so my guess is that investors are not too happy. It's like I said in my videos on the topic of the controversy of women in Battlefield 5 and EA and DICE's determination to go down the SJW route to defend their design choices, that once the pre-order numbers begin to disappoint, EA and its investors will start to take notice. Now I know someone will say, well, even with the controversy surrounding Battlefront 2, EA was still more profitable than ever last year. And yes, that is absolutely correct. But anytime you're dealing with investors, you have to make as much money as physically possible. They're not satisfied with simply earning a profit. If they see a potential source of revenue being squandered due to poor leadership, they do not take it lightly. So given this, it could be that Patrick Soderlund was allowed to leave in order to protect his reputation instead of being fired, which is very common in the corporate environment among executives. However, this is speculation and he could have left for a different reason entirely, but the timing is suspicious as all hell. Karma sure is a bitch, huh? So this whole controversy side of things put aside, there's also another reason for why Battlefield 5 could be disappointing with pre-order numbers. This is something that I personally had a feeling was going to happen as well in regards to Battlefield 5, with its rather tricky release date right between the biggest shooter of the year, Black Ops 4, and Red Dead Redemption 2, Rockstar's latest game and one of the biggest and most anticipated releases of this entire generation. Simply looking at the like-to-dislike ratio on that reveal trailer, 333,000 likes and 453,000 dislikes, things are not looking too good for Battlefield 5. Obviously, the general consensus around this game is anything but positive. I mean, just take a look at how far you have to go down to find Battlefield 5 on the bestsellers for GameStop. You have to go down almost 50 just to find the first sign of Battlefield 5, which is the Deluxe Edition. You then have to go to the second page just to find the standard edition of the game. That is not a good sign whatsoever. In fact, Battlefield 5 is not even in the top 100 bestsellers for PS4 on Amazon, with both Black Ops 4 and Red Dead Redemption having several spots within that list each. Just generally speaking, it just doesn't seem like there's much enthusiasm for the game outside of the hardcore Battlefield community that maybe doesn't have an issue with the controversy surrounding the design decisions and SJW agenda present in this World War II shooter. Numbers don't lie, and all evidence is pointing to this game not selling nearly as well as, say, Battlefield 1 did. I think the comparison to Titanfall 2 by Sarah is spot on in terms of what potentially could happen with the launch of Battlefield 5. If we think back to the launch of Titanfall 2, it could be equated to that of a suicide. EA chose to launch Titanfall 2 between Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, the two biggest games of 2016, and as a result, Titanfall 2 bombed in sales, and that was despite the fact that it was the franchise's debut on the PS4 platform in addition to PC and Xbox One. Titanfall 2 was highly regarded critically and was a very solid experience with a great campaign and fun multiplayer. Everyone for the most part who played the game really seemed to enjoy it. I personally bought both Titanfall 2 and Battlefield 1, and I enjoyed and played Titanfall 2 far more than Battlefield 1. The problem was that people opted for the familiar franchises they knew, like Battlefield and Call of Duty. They were hesitant to give Titanfall 2 a shot, or simply did not feel like spending an additional $60 on an FPS a week after or before the game they already planned on buying releases. It doesn't help much either. The Battlefield 5 for the most part looks like it's just going to be a reskin of Battlefield 1 set in World War II. I don't think World War II really excites people anymore, and I know I wanted a Battlefield 5 that had a modern setting like that of Battlefield 3 and 4, my personal favorites in the series. EA has basically sandwiched this game in between the two biggest games this year, and when people are going to make their purchasing decision, it's probably going to either come down to Call of Duty or Red Dead Redemption 2. Especially on console. I think Battlefield 5 will sell decently on the PC, considering that Call of Duty has never really been that big of a thing on PC, and Red Dead Redemption 2 has no confirmed PC release yet, making Battlefield 5 the clear standout. But then again, both DICE and EA at several occasions have had no problem attacking those who dare to disagree with their politically and ideologically driven decisions with Battlefield 5. They have made it a point to divide their consumer base by using identity politics and calling their fans uneducated for not agreeing with them. They politicize something that has no business including politics whatsoever in a sad attempt to be, quote, on the right side of history. If you ask DICE's design director Alan Kurtz about this. All I can say is that this entire situation is funny as hell, and it's exactly what EA and DICE deserve. These developers and publishers need to learn that pandering to a vocal SJW minority that has no intention whatsoever to even buy the game they're anxious to influence and change for no other reason than to get attention they desperately crave does not help the game sell whatsoever. Also, pandering to the left-leaning so-called games journalist by slighting your fans is not going to help you either. In case you didn't realize, games media and mainstream media in general is a dying breed. People don't care how much praise IGN gives a game anymore. You can make Polygon and Kotaku happy all day, every day, but in the grand scheme of things, it will do nothing for you. Instead, you should be listening to your actual fans who have bought your game in the past. You know, the very same people who made the franchise a success in the first place that put you in the position that enables you to even make a sequel. Shouldn't you make the game that they will want to buy rather than force-feeding this particular agenda? It rarely ends well and only serves to divide people. The last time I checked, people don't buy Battlefield for a political statement or to further a social justice cause. Gaming is about having fun, and politicizing the medium is something that no one wants other than the SJWs who look to destroy anything that does not pander to them and their extremist ideology. And when people push back against this, what do? You attack them, call them uneducated. You say that you have the moral high ground, make up bullshit lies, and try to use your daughters as shields. I mean, just look at this beta male, Alan Kurtz, the main force behind the decision to put women in Battlefield 5, and the original person to go out of his way to virtue signal those who dared to question his so-called higher morality. His Twitter profile reveals a lot. Alan Kurtz, design director, natural-born American, naturalized Swede, liberal, feminist, masculine. That's a contradiction right there. Human. This guy is so masculine, he couldn't even explain to his daughter that men were the primary combat force in World War II, so instead he had to make a game where women were present as well, because screw history, because this puts him on the quote, right side of history. Isn't that just wonderful? At this point, Battlefield 5 is tainted beyond repair by the blatant politicization by DICE and EA and deserves to flop miserably. Let this game serve as a reminder to the activist developers out there that no one wants your politics in gaming. Do your job, make a fun game that your fans want, and shut the hell up about politics because no one cares. I will in no way financially support Battlefield 5 whatsoever. This game is dead to me, and frankly, I will just be having a much better time playing Red Dead Redemption 2 in October, and I would suggest that you do the same. Fuck this game. I refuse to give SJWs any sort of financial reinforcement. So, Battlefield 5, it was nice knowing you. You are non-existent in my mind. I may play the beta just to trash the game a little more, but not gonna buy it whatsoever. DICE, EA, you're not getting a cent from me in the form of Battlefield 5. I hope Battlefield 5 flops worse than Titanfall 2, because Titanfall 2 at least was a fantastic game. They had a great development team behind it, but EA screwed that game over royally. DICE, EA, they deserve Battlefield 5 to flop because it's just a pile of SJW trash at this point. So, let's hope it flops. Let's hope people opt for the better options out there. Hell, I think Black Ops 4 is even more appealing to me at this point, and that beta was trash. But let me know your thoughts on this. Are you planning on picking up Battlefield 5, or are you sick of the bullshit and attacks EA and DICE have directed at Battlefield fans and are taking a hard pass on this game? I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on this in the comments section below. Feel free to join my Discord, link in the descriptions if you want to discuss Battlefield 5 or whatever topic that's on your mind. I try to stay very active on there, and is a great place to interact with me. Also, hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, as it does help a lot with YouTube actually putting my videos in the algorithm, and I would greatly appreciate it. Consider subscribing for future videos like this one, and click the bell for notifications so you're notified every single time I upload a brand new video. Follow me on Twitter at Griffin_gaming, or click the link in the description. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time.
Hello, old friend.